The first question will be for you, Mr. Allen. Our state legislator has a very low approval rating with voters. What do you believe the reason for the widespread voter dissatisfaction is? And if elected, what will you do to try and change that?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the voter approval level for the legislature now is at 10% and still in a nosedive. And my belief is regarding this is that we are sending good people to the legislature, but when good people get bad results, what that means to me is that the actual system is broken and dysfunctional. I've studied California history. California has had a long, illustrious history of dysfunctional government that because the state has been so wealthy and in boom and bust cycles for the last 100 years, we've had the luxury of poor governance. To me, besides just the normal things you would expect with a legislator talking to the Republicans, talking to the Democrats, talking to business, labor, environmentalists, everybody, the one thing we have to do is if you want to really tackle education, transportation, all these issues that we're talking about this morning, is working on governance. And what I mean by governance is we have been running California through a system of propositions where people propose propositions but no way of funding them or paying for them. We have proposed propositions that become law in perpetuity that are welded into our state constitution. We have one of the longest constitutions in the country, over 500 pages. And what we've done is we've done a series of, quote, reforms that have caused lots of unintended consequences. So what I'd like to do, my friends have teased me about this, I call it the Sanity Caucus. And basically the Sanity Caucus would be working on the issues of governance so that we would put before the people how much power do you want to give the legislature. Most people don't realize that with Prop 98, they put all the power in Sacramento. And after that, now they've been putting shackles on it over and over again to try to control that power. There needs to be a clear understanding by the electorate how much power do we want to reserve for the people through the proposition system, and how much latitude do we need to give the legislators so they can get the job done. And one thing, and we'll talk about this later, would be Prop 25, which would basically require a majority vote for the budgets, permanently taking away pay if you don't pass the budget on time, and also a protection that it has nothing to do with taxes. The 2/3 rule on taxes still remains in force. And that is just one reform of many that would have to do around governance so that we can deal with our other issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gentry.
Well, California is in a mess, and our state legislature, all the way from the governor down, is a mess. And it has been a mess for just years and years and years. And one of the things that we really need to do is build cohesive groups, and we need to build collaboration. We need to build teams and working partnerships. And I think one of the things that business does very well is build cohesive teams and build partnerships. And we need to create a lot of relationships in Sacramento with the business community involved in partnerships with the government agencies. We need to do a much better job of reaching out to empower business. Business has been kind of thrown up their hands and said, I'm just going to move. I'm moving out of the state. And we need to empower business to stay in the state and let them know that the state legislatures and the state people that are elected are really listening to them and really interested in their future and jobs and how to make jobs better for the state of California. And I think that our state legislature is on this nosedive. And while the Democrats have been in power and in office for many years in the California state system, you know, I wouldn't say that I would point the blame there, because even when Republicans are in power, there's a lot of disunity. I think unity comes from building teamwork, and teamwork comes from electing people that want to be in office together and want to work together for a unified goal of jobs for the state of California. And that's kind of a vision right now that I see as a cohesive group among all the people that are running in the state right now for the state legislature and the state Senate and the governor's jobs. I think that in the city of Napa, for example, we didn't have a 4th of July parade. We hadn't had a 4th of July parade since the 1970s. So I made a 4th of July parade in Napa and worked with all communities and all business and all industry to bring a parade about. We went from nobody in the parade, we went to 10,000 people coming to watch the parade and 500 entries in the parade.
Thank you.
So now I can't read those numbers.
There isn't a number. That just means stop.
Oh, that means stop. Okay.
The blue sign,
Sorry.
The blue sign is 30 seconds.
Okay. The pink one is stop. I didn't. I apologize. You get 30 extra seconds, Michael. I can't obey the rules. What am I doing? Sorry, guys.
Thank you.
Where's the ruler? Slap my hands. Thank you.
This question is for you, Ms. Gentry. If the city of Vallejo were given the opportunity to expand Cal Maritime into the downtown, if elected, what can you do to help ensure that that happens, or help at the state level with any possible funding?
You know, I have to tell you, I have to put this out on the table in front of God and the cameras. I think Vallejo, without a doubt, I have said this in every city I've been in, I believe Vallejo is the unpolished gem of this district. You have all the water, you have the interstates, you have the land, you have the resources. Vallejo, I think, is the hope for the future. For the future of this district. Without a doubt, I believe that. There's no question that you have the resources. You have the ferry boat. You're the only ferry boat in my district. I mean, this district is the hope for the future growth of this district is through Vallejo. And I can tell you without a doubt, I will do everything within my power to work with groups here in Vallejo and Sacramento and the whole state of California to tell what a great jewel and gem Vallejo is. And I think that Mare Island is a fabulous opportunity. It stymies me why Mare Island has not taken off and just exploded, because it's such a beautiful piece of property with all of that waterfront. And I think that we have great hope and great expectation. I've talked with your mayor and citizens on your city council. What color are you holding up? And I have talked with many people in this district about the potential, the opportunity, and the future of Vallejo, and so white. And I definitely want to be a #1 champion and advocate for Vallejo when I am elected as your state assembly representative.
Well, let me answer the question first. Absolutely, I would like to see the Maritime Academy come downtown. I think the way you do that is you have to talk with the local merchants, you have to talk with the city council, you have to start talking with the California State College administration to figure out how to do it. And it just not only doing it, but doing it in a way where you get community consensus. And if you take nothing away from all my answers, I'm a great believer that when you show respect to as many opinions as possible and realize that a lot of people have stakes and things, you end up with better outcomes. And what I've learned is that a lot of the things I've put together in life that have been successful because we put them together carefully. So in order to support bringing the Maritime Academy downtown, I would want to make sure that there are no folks who feel for some reason it shouldn't be here, and to find out what those concerns are. But I think when you bring a university downtown, it opens up things for restaurants, for shopping. It has a lot of very positive effects. But to me, if I'm not mistaken, I think Vallejo is called the City of Opportunity. It's a really wonderful place, and Doris said it very well in terms of her feelings regarding it. But to me, the one thing that we have to work on with Vallejo is getting that community consensus and then having a success together, because success breeds success. And I know that with the unfortunate circumstances of what's happened in Vallejo the last couple of years, we need to have a success where we all do it together, and that breeds further success. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Allen, staying with Mare Island, what is your vision for the future of what should be developed over on Mare Island, and what would you, if elected at the state level, do to help that vision come to fruition?
Well, I've already had a lot of meetings out on Mare Island, because I know that there's lots of different visions for Mare Island. I know there's a proposal right now regarding the Lucas Studios. I know that there's been suggestions about having a solar farm out there, a solar installation. There's issues about getting power to the island, which have to be dealt with. But for me, I think that one of the things which has made the development of Mare Island really difficult is that the classical pattern for development of a place like Mare Island that was essentially a military and industrial use was that housing was brought immediately onto the property prior to figuring out what was going to be the light industry and the environmental protections, which ends up creating inbuilt opposition to what you want to do, because understandably people don't want to be near toxic substances, and those things have to be worked through. But to me, the most recent proposal from Lucasfilms, the idea that there's other competitors out there who see Mare Island as a tremendous opportunity, I think we need to work in a way where the options for Mare Island are transparent to the community, and we reach a conclusion where people say, yeah, this is the best option for Mare Island because it's going to be the longest in terms of sustainability, the best for job growth and economic growth for the region, and that's how you proceed. And I don't pretend to know the answer. I think the community knows the answer, but part of it is unlocking that answer by talking to enough stakeholders to figure that out together. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gentry?
Well, you know, Mare Island is the anchor of Vallejo. It's the history of Vallejo, and having bringing a ship back in there and doing all the things that you've talked about doing, these are all great ideas, but you do have to get buy-in from all the stakeholders. You do have to get consensus from the community. There have been proposals of industrial and commercial opportunities on Mare Island, but then the residents that live up on the hills and overlook it complain that it's going to be noisy, it's going to be an eye pollution, meaning a visual sightline aberration to what they want to see. And I have had many meetings. I've toured all around Mare Island with Mr. Mare Island, the oldest resident that worked out there continuously. And there are so many opportunities. You know, Truro University at one point was going to do a massive expansion onto Mare Island up from where they are now, and they're a great establishment and facility. There have been many things discussed over the years, but what we really need is an anchor corporation, an anchor business that wants to come in and take on that job of relocating there and building, whether it is Lucasfilms or somebody else. And then the community needs to buy in, and they need to be at the table and part of that decision-making process, so that you have support and you have a bigger vision going into the area. So I would work feverishly to make that, tirelessly to make that happen. Thank you, and I saw that 30-second sign.
Thank you.